Hey everyone, this podcast is part of Story Mode, the podcast network of Gamefully Unemployed. You can support us and gain access to other great exclusive podcasts at patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. That's patreon.com/GAMEFULLY unemployed, which is spelled like it sounds.
I spritzed my throat. How you? So, what? Hey, everybody!
Hi, everyone.
I forgot. My name is David Bell.
My name is Tom Ryman.
And we just watched His House.
His house.
His house.
Whose house?
His
house.
His house. It's a house. There's a house movie.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations. You're being released as asylum seekers, not as citizens, not yet. You will be sent to a home of our choosing. You must not move from this address.
We are good people.
Whether or not you're good people, it's not me that needs convincing.
It's a palace.
This entire house is just for us.
It's going to be nice. You're going to be happy. As long as you can get along, fit in, be one of the good ones.
This is on the Netflix. This is a horror movie, which, you know, it's not Halloween, but that's never stopped us before.
That's true.
Yeah.
Really, every day is Halloween if you want it to be.
Right. If you dress like a Frankenstein, every day is Halloween. I dress
true.
every day.
Every day.
Yeah.
Some days I go for more trendy Frankenstein.
Sure.
Like I'll I'll do like a fade, but it'll still be the flat top.
Yeah. Or you could be like, Aaron Eckhart. You can be like an I Frankenstein
Right.
type.
I could be like Yo Frankenstein.
Yeah. This got great reviews, so we watched it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't worry, people will probably watch Possessor as well. I'm excited for both of those movies. What did you think of His House, Tom?
I thought it was really good.
I super liked this movie.
Yeah, it's a really good movie.
This is okay. We've talked about this before. When you have a slow burn, bigger meaning horror movie, a movie that's about something else, it tends to, like, it's very easy for those movies to forget to be horror movies. Some of them are more, some of them are more dramas. I went into this movie expecting it to be a movie that's, because as the trailer shows, the main characters are immigrants into London.
Specifically refugees from the South Sudan. Yeah.
So I assumed this movie would be, I guess, more about what that experience of being a refugee is like, which it is.
Yes,
but it's not like, I guess what I'm getting at is this is a lot more of a horror movie than I thought it would be, and the horror in it was fucking good.
Yeah, there's some wild shit in this movie.
Yeah, it's a horror movie first, more than anything else, and in fact, it's more about guilt. I would say
the movie is
being.
Yeah, it's about survivor's guilt.
Yeah, survivor's guilt. It's about what happened to these people. We're going to spoil the shit out of this if you haven't figured that out.
Yeah, we always do, but there it is.
Yeah.
Just flopping that down on the table.
Yeah, flopping that spoiler log on the table.
Flopping that dong.
Yeah, this is...
that Swiss colony spoiler log.
Yeah, this is two refugees coming from a very violent situation who are coming into London, and they get a flat, as they call them, there.
Yeah. They're in like
which
a probationary.
Doesn't make any sense.
Well, they're in like a probationary period of being accepted into the country.
No, I mean the term. The term
flat. No, that's dumb.
It's a box. It's a square.
Chips. They're fucking fries, man. What are you doing? Anyway.
Yeah, it's fucking weird.
They just. I'm pretty sure British slang doesn't exist. They just make it up to just blow all of our minds.
They could.
Yeah.
If they wanted to.
We would never know. We'd never know.
So they're like you said, they're on probationary, so it's like, we're going to give you this place, we're going to give you a certain amount of money, you can't work, you can't
they can't do anything.
Yeah, the rules are very funny when he's just like, they start where he's like, no parties, and I'm like, yeah, I get that, and they're like, no, like playing ball, no playing, like it like reduces to like basic things, where it's just like no fun.
Yeah, the movie doesn't. I mean, this is there throughout, but the movie doesn't really focus on it past the first act. But
yeah,
it really demonstrates how people in this situation are treated like criminals.
Right. That's again, it's not the point of the movie. It's just in the movie.
Yes.
Which is that they're treated like they did something wrong.
Yeah.
From the start, and they're treated with great indifference. Well, a combination of indifference and a little bit of compassion, and a little bit of people who just don't know what to say. Like,
yeah.
I knew somebody who was a refugee, and like I would sit around with him and get high, and I'd talk about like my childhood, and I'd be like, yeah, when I was 16 this, and he'd be like, oh, when I was 16 my uncle got beheaded, but that sounds cool. And it's just like, oh
yeah, like what do you say to that?
Yeah. And yeah, exactly, what do you say to that? And the answer is like, you just go, Jesus,
there you go, holy shit, that sucks. Glad you got out.
Yeah, exactly. And so like it's that where like she goes to the doctor at one point, and the doctor just can't relate.
No.
When she's asking her, she's like, "Oh, those scars on you are pretty because they're like in a design," and then she explains that like, yeah, that's the tribe. Yeah. On this side, that's the tribe on the other, and they were both killing each other. So I marked myself with both. To survive.
Yeah, and then she mentions her daughter, and she's like, oh, I've got a daughter too, you should get her registered and bring her in for a checkup. And she's like, she drowned when we were crossing the ocean.
The doctor's like, all right, I mean, I guess fuck me then.
Yeah, like I can't.
No.
That's an important thing. In the very beginning, we see that as they're crossing the ocean to the UK, I assume, a bunch of people fall overboard and they lose their like 13-year-old daughter. She's around there.
Yeah.
They lose their daughter. She drowns.
Yeah. And so it's the dynamic is that the husband, he's like ready to assimilate.
He is
ready to push past everything. It's his house. He wants a house. He wants to start living.
Yeah, he keeps saying this is our home, and that's the other. It's primarily about survivor's guilt, and he and his wife represent two different aspects of it.
Yes,
but there's also an element of like he very much wants to assimilate and be assimilated, and she's resisting because she feels like it's betraying her family and her culture and where she came from.
And we see that in like when he goes out, it's lit bright. The world is friendly to him.
He has a great
smiling.
Experience when he goes out. Yeah, and then she gets lost in this like horrible maze of apartments, and these three asshole teenagers like ridicule her and tell her to go back to Africa.
Right.
Like their experiences definitely reflect that. Yeah.
Right, and it's shot in a way that's surreal too. Is she goes around a corner and there's a kid kicking a ball, and then you see her, she goes back and she goes around and there's what appears to be the same kid kicking the ball, and it's like a maze.
Yeah, it's like a fucking wizard's labyrinth.
Yeah. And he's having a great time.
Yeah.
He's out there
he,
like fucking going to the bar.
Right, he gets waved into a pub and like starts singing along with everybody in there watching a soccer game, and then he goes to like a Target or something, and it's so brightly lit. Yeah. And he ends up buying
you're like
clothes.
Thankful to see it.
Yeah. He ends up buying clothes to look exactly like one of the people in the advertisements on the wall.
Right.
And he doesn't take them off for the rest of the movie.
Yeah. One of my favorite details, and this might not have been in the script. I don't know. It just would have been funny if it wasn't, is the security card follows him.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Oh, yeah. It's amazing. The security card, it's one of those things where I wonder if he was just on set and they were like, you know what? Let's add something here. He he's checking out a pretty lady. He's just like, oh shit. And like rubbernecks this guy and then slowly starts following him. And you can see him in the background just
I didn't notice that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like, you racist fuck. Yeah, again, it's not the point of the movie. And that's what's interesting about this is that It isn't. It isn't, because the world is aggressive towards them, because they're not. They're in a strange land. Everything is unfamiliar, and so everything's a little cruel around them. And they've been told, like, you can't do anything. You can't really exist yet.
Yeah, don't do anything or we'll deport you.
Yeah, and so that is a factor in it, and it's a great setting for horror, because it makes a situation where it's like, it feels dystopian. It feels like no one can help them.
And they're go ahead.
Oh, it's like In the Mouth of Madness, almost, where you're in this world there, like, every twist and turn, because there's, like, the neighbor, that lady.
Yeah.
And it's like, is she in on it, or is she just a racist?
I think she's just a racist, as it turns out.
Right, but they make it so, like, in between, where it's like, just there's no one to go to.
Yeah, like, the premise is their house is haunted.
Yeah, like, super haunted.
Like, super haunted.
Like, crowded.
Yeah, like,
too haunted.
Just way haunted. Just really, really just lousy with ghosts.
Right, they're all waiting at the bathroom door in a line.
And they can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
Because if they make the slightest waves, they'll get deported.
Right. It also has, like, kind of the Shining vibes.
Very much so, yeah.
He starts kind of getting emotionally and psychologically affected by the ghosts.
Oh, she does too.
She does too, but he seems to become... Yeah, he seems like he's becoming, like, aggressive. Like, at one point, he traps them in the house. Sort of. He doesn't do a very good job of it, and I thank the movie for pointing that out when she easily gets out later.
Yeah.
He, like, knocks the doorknobs off of everything, and I was like, well, you can still figure that out, but sure.
Yeah.
It makes it harder.
Yeah, the ghosts are more aggressive towards him, which manifests in his behavior. And it turns out it's because the ghosts are part of... She tells a story about this. It's like a folktale from where she grew up about this dude who stole from a bunch of people because he wanted a home of his own, and then inadvertently steals from this witch, this like crazy witch dude with powers, who then haunts him for the rest of his life and slowly drives him insane until he completely destroys him.
Right.
And so that ends up being what is happening here. Is that he's being targeted by this entity that's tormenting him with ghosts of everyone that died on the boat, because a bunch of people fell over and drowned.
Right, and like, this is the other part is the movie makes you think it's just about trauma. It's survival's guilt in a very literal sense, because it's also guilt. Yeah, because what we learn is that they did something you could argue is very immoral in order to survive.
Yes.
But it's one of those things where it's like, I don't know if I would have done differently. And I guess it's the reveal of the movie, but the daughter that she lost isn't actually her daughter.
No.
It's a little girl where they were escaping and they need to get on a bus, and people are coming and shooting. It's like, get on this bus or you're gonna die. And they're just like, I'm sorry, only children. And so he pulls a Titanic. That guy, Billy Zane.
He pulls a Billy Zane. Yeah.
He Billy Zanes it, and he picks up a kid, and he's like, I have a kid. And then him and his wife get on, and as they're on the bus, they see the actual mother, like, looking for her kid, and the girl's screaming for his mother, and they have to drive off, and it is fucking horrifying.
Yeah.
And then the mother is killed as they're drived off, I believe. You can't see it.
No.
I thought I saw her fall.
She falls, but I think she just tripped because she's running after the bus. Yeah. I don't think she... But I mean, they were...
She most certainly got killed.
Yeah, people were running into the village and shooting everything up. And
so then the wife makes a promise, so like, look, kid, we really screwed you over here. So I promise I'll take care of you. Mm-hmm. And then she drowns. Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, we didn't do anything right by this kid.
No.
We really messed up with this kid. So like, it's the idea of like doing something out of desperation to survive, and then surviving, and then dealing with the fact that you did that thing.
Exactly.
And it's very good. It's a combination of... Tom, did you see Under the Shadow, by the way?
I haven't.
I feel like Under the Shadow is not the same like guilt stuff, but it's about a woman in Iraq in Tehran in the 80s. And part of it is like she's being haunted by a ghost and she literally can't get in a car. Like she can't drive away because they're like, you can't drive. And so like it's again that where it's this person who's sort of trapped by the society around her, this war-torn area where she just has to stay inside because if she goes outside, there's bombs dropping and shit. It's a very interesting film. But it reminded me of this because it's again them like it's what it is it reminds me of like The Thing, where it's like you can't go outside, you'll freeze. And here it's like you can't go outside, you'll get deported to something that's even worse. So there, it's like a social or government pressure or legal pressure. It's interesting. It's a cool way of doing that, right? Doing like isolation,
right?
Where like they're compelled to be in the house. They can leave if they want, but like everything's riding on this house. So the ghosts start haunting.
Yeah,
and they're in the walls.
He starts obsessively stripping the wallpaper off and then like bashing holes in the wall.
This was the point, by the way, where I realized, because I don't know about you, like that first scare where it's the woman behind him, that was great because everything leading up into that point felt like a typical horror film. Like he puts his head against the wall. And then it's like I'm watching like, oh, there's going to be a loud bang, and there's a loud bang. And and I started like losing my faith in that moment. I was like, oh no. And then he bends down and he's looking in this hole. And the normal thing to do is have a jump scare from the hole, but then like the camera just kind of pivots and you see that there's a woman laying right next to him. And she's got the scariest fucking face, and it's like and then that's when I was so into it at that point.
Yeah, there's a couple of moments like that. Like the first night they're in the house when the wallpaper slides off and there's a hole.
Yeah.
And he starts pulling on this rope that turns into like a vine of seaweed, and he's just frantically pulling this endless rope. And it keeps cutting to a shot head on of him, and you can see behind him there's something walking towards him in the darkness. And you never see what it is. Like it never turns into a jump scare. Like it's just in another shot, it's just gone.
The cinematography in this is great.
Yeah, all the colors are awesome.
The colors and the framing is like kind of it's not the same framing as It Follows, but how It Follows almost so many shots are designed to make you feel uneasy because you feel like there's something there. This is the same, is that a lot of the shots are like they all feel like shots that something bad could happen within the frames of the shots. And so I always felt uneasy even if nothing happens. I love the ocean stuff where he's eating.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
It's in the middle of a conversation they're having too, which is what's cool. Well, that's part of what's cool. Like he walks in on Rial, which is the wife's name. And his name is Bull.
Rial.
He walks in and she's sitting at the table talking to nobody.
Right.
And then they sit down and they start to have dinner, and they have a conversation where she's like, the ghosts are telling me that they can bring our daughter back and that I should be afraid of you. And they have this like tense conversation, and then he gets pissed and just starts furiously eating his dinner. And then it slowly pans out to reveal that she's not there anymore, and a little segment of his kitchen is just sitting in the middle of the ocean against like this burnt orange sky as he's furiously eating his dinner.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah, it's an awesome scene.
Is that when does shit come out of the water in that part or later?
Yeah. He looks up and he hears the monster coming towards him, and then he looks down and he can see all the bodies of the people that fell off the boat underneath him, and then he falls over.
One of them looks at him, and it's one of those things where it's like people listening probably feel like they've seen that before, but the makeup effects or whatever the effect was on the face, it was like, I've never seen that before.
Yeah, it looked really good.
Yeah, it reminded me of like something like The Witches, like an old, like something that would traumatize me. It made me feel like a traumatized child because it brought me back to like that type of imagery. Or like John Carpenter's The Fog. Like it had that very like monster feel to it as well. Yeah. Like the ghouls, because they're all fucked up from the ocean, and they start rising up, and the shots are so beautiful and creepy. It's really good.
Yeah,
really creepy movie.
Yeah, it's man. We talked about it, but like the color scheme inside the house and then outside is really great.
I love that's one of the details that's, I think, not in this dinner scene, it's before. She eats with her hands, he eats with a fork.
Yes.
Because again, he wants to assimilate. She says like, all I can taste is the metal.
Yeah.
And it's
from the canned foods, and he's like, you'll get used to it.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, the stuff on the ocean,
all the ocean stuff is rad.
Yeah, it really, like, nobody needs to remake The Fog. We know that already.
Oh, we've seen that. Yeah.
But if someone should, it's this director, I think. Because a lot of the imagery kind of reminded me of the aesthetic of The Fog. The Boogans are very like ghostly but zombie-like, you know?
Yeah. And you do see them clearly, but they spend most of the time as silhouettes in the dark.
Yes,
which is very fog-like.
Yes, and then there's little, goddamn. Again, all this is just a haunted house. It's just we're just going having fun. Well, not fun, but you know what I mean. Where it's like it's as basic as horror movies can get. It's just ghosts.
Yeah.
They even do the lights out thing. But the talent behind it makes it really looked like something I hadn't really seen before, or I just hadn't seen in a long time, which is like extreme competence in how to make a horror scene.
Yeah, in a haunted house movie.
Yeah. There's a part where they're playing with the light switch, and it's like they do more than that lights out person does in the entire movie in that one scene.
Yeah.
Where
he's literally draped with ghosts by the end of it.
Yeah. And they subvert it within the scene. The idea is he turns, I forget the exact, he's seeing things like walking in the hallway, and it's super creepy, and he starts walking towards him. He turns on the light, it's gone, and then he can hear it, and he sees like wet footprints on the ground.
Yeah.
And then he turns off the lights again, like, because he wants to see it. Like, it's he can't stand the moment. And then it's a slow pan, and then you see it again. And then he turns on the light, and he's freaked out. And then at one point he turns around, and there's just someone standing there, and they turn off the light. So it's like, obviously he wouldn't do that again. And so you realize, oh, the lights aren't a rule. It's not a rule that they're off, that they're only existing, because they establish a rule of like, yo, you turn off the lights, there they are, turn on the lights, they're gone.
And they undercut it in the same scene.
Exactly. And so it shocks you again, because when the lights are on, you feel safe, and then you're not safe.
Yeah.
I really like that.
And then the ghost of their fake daughter is wearing this just batshit mask.
Oh yeah,
that mask is wild.
Where did she find that mask?
Oh, who cares?
Where in the afterlife did she get that fucking mask?
Maybe they hand them out.
Yeah.
Oh, you're gonna haunt somebody. You're gonna want this mask.
Yeah, they do a good job at and I think other horror movies accomplish this a lot, but you keep hearing her cry, "Mama, Mama."
Yeah.
And you think it's because it's her daughter. But it's not.
No.
It's because that's what she cried out when they took her away from her mom. And so it's like a really good subversion of that, where it's like, that's such a typical horror thing to hear, is like, oh, a little kid crying for his mom or something like that. But this is motivated by the survivor's guilt and the very just actual guilt. It's really fucking cool. I know I've said it a few times.
Yeah, I'm worried we're not going to have much to talk about.
Other than how cool this movie is?
This is, it's so well done. It's well acted. The problem is the theme is pretty profound, I think.
Oh, for sure.
Because the way the climax works is basically, in order to rid the house of the haunting, they both have to confront their guilt, which it happens in two different ways. Bowl has to accept what he's done because he's been avoiding thinking about it. He's been denying the reality of it, and then he has to finally come to terms with the fact that they abducted a girl in order to save. He abducted a girl in order to save him and his wife, and then they couldn't even keep her alive after that. Like he left her to drown in the ocean because we see that Rial is trying to swim out to her, but Bowl drags her back to the boat, and everybody that fell off drowns. So he has to come to terms with the fact that he basically let this girl die so that he and his wife could live. Right. And that in the movie, it involves him. He finally, because the ghost is trying to convince Bowl to kill himself, and at the same time, it's trying to convince Rial to kill him because it wants him to pay the debt of the death of the girl. So he finally decides to just cut his arm open and be like, all right, fine. Because again, he's motivated by trying to keep Rial safe. It's like everything he does is sort of that motivation. So he's like, fine, I'll do this. I'll address what I've done, and I'll accept it. I'll stop denying it. I'll stop running from it. Meanwhile, Rial gets transported back to... she's in like a classroom or something with a bunch of other women.
Oh, man. And I forgot about that.
Yeah, she's hiding in a cupboard because they came in and shot everybody else.
They also, the way they do the scene is...
it's really good. Yeah.
She's talking to them. There's a sequence with them, and it's like, it's not really them, and she knows it.
Yeah.
And then they show... and it's part of them showing what happened to them with the little girl, is they show her getting out of a cupboard.
Mm-hmm. And then Bowl comes in,
and you see the way she's looking at it before you see what it is. Mm-hmm. And then as they're leaving, the camera pans across and you just see all the people shot to death.
Yeah.
It's horrific.
Yeah. And then they're like, she asked them, where's my daughter? How do I get her back? And they keep saying, who? What? And it's because she never had a daughter. And like she eventually, what she has to do is let these people go, basically.
Yeah. Well, it's both, because at the very end, the last scene is, we haven't even talked about that there's Skynet's in this.
Oh, Matt Smith, yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking
most famously is Skynet.
Doctor Whom.
Yeah. And like he at one point...
He's their caseworker, essentially.
Yeah. There's a great scene where he comes in and he's just like, we need a new house. And they're like, why? And he's like, rats. And there's this great scene where they keep being like, they sort of interrogate him. Yeah. And it becomes clear, like, it's not really rats. And he knows he can't say ghosts.
Yeah.
And he's holding a drink, and then you hear this glass break, and you realize he's squeezed the drink so hard it broke.
Yeah. He crushed the glass in his hands.
Yeah. So he's like, his caseworker is kind of like, we'll be following up with you soon.
Yeah.
And then at the very end, after we haven't really gotten to it, I guess we should wait.
Yeah. It's basically Rial comes out of her experience, like accepting that these people are gone and it's not her fault.
Yeah.
And that by continuing to live, she's not betraying them or dishonoring them.
Right.
And continuing to live in London, because she's like, we should go back. We don't belong here. But it's like, if they go back to South Sudan, they'll probably get killed.
Because there's a feeling of that the culture, her upbringing is being...
erased.
Mm-hmm. He burns all her stuff.
Right. Yeah,
because he's like, it's cursed.
Yeah.
And she's like, that's my father's. And it's part of it is like, yeah, what her heritage is going away.
Yeah.
Which is also upsetting. And so, yeah, it feels she doesn't want to move on.
Yeah, but like assimilating into another culture doesn't mean that your heritage goes away, and it's not like...
Well, that's I think what she learns.
That's
but
that's
what the feeling,
right? That's what she's feeling, and that's the hurdle she has to overcome. Is that she's not betraying her family by moving to a place where she can exist in peace.
Right. Because she's immediately met with racism from those teenage boys. Also, they say repeatedly, Matt Smith does, try to be one of the good ones.
Yeah, try to be one of the good ones. Yeah,
try to fit in. Try to be nice.
Yeah. That's so frustrating because it's like,
right?
Why are you treating us like criminals?
Right. Well, and the interesting thing is his character. He's not saying it to be racist. He's saying it because he's been a caseworker so much that he's like desensitized, and probably beat down by the system. And he's like, "Look, just don't cause any trouble." Because it'll just make this go better for you. I just want this to go better for you. But of course, they're being treated like criminals. And so, she's sort of rejecting that because it is like he says, I used to be a banker. You know, like it's that, where as refugees, it's just everything is stripped away from them. All their belongings are in 2 plastic bags.
Yep.
And that's their entire lives now. And then he burns it.
Yeah, he sure does.
Yeah, and so it's also, I think, about that, like losing your past.
Yeah.
And having to start completely over.
Yeah, for sure.
And at the end, the witch comes out, who, by the way, is played by Javier Botet, I think is the pronunciation. You would know him as the hobo in It, the new one. The crooked man in The Conjuring. Just anytime you see a skinny fucker.
Yeah, it's either him or Doug Jones.
Yeah, he is the Slender Man, so that's something to be happy about.
That's a good thing to have on your resume, for sure.
He played it. He was a xenomorph alien. He was in Alien Covenant. He was in Wreck. Skinny motherfucker in Wreck. This is just it's a costume actor, very talented one. He was all up in Crimson Peak. Anytime, but this witch comes out and starts like digging into his flesh. And she leaves the room because she feels like it has to happen, right? They both have accepted, like, you'll get this little girl back if this witch like gets all up in your guts. And like, what's the witch getting out of it?
It's just, if according to that story she tells, it's just he's looking to settle a cosmic debt, I guess. I mean, it's just meant to represent his guilt.
Yeah, I think the witch gets off on it. Probably, I think the witch is like, look, I can bring this.
The witch is throbbing. He's just turgid.
Yeah, he's like, I can bring this child back from the dead, but I'm gonna have to get to like torture one of you.
Which he absolutely cannot bring the kid back from the dead.
No. Well, we don't know because
I'm sure it's lying.
I'm just saying we don't know.
That's true. We don't know.
She comes up from behind and stabs the witch, which
slices its throat.
I guess is a thing you can do.
Yeah.
Then the next day, Matt Smith comes. They've patched up the walls. They're looking like they're just standing there, like, yeah, everything's fine now. They're like, okay. Are you all right? And then we see that they say something like, "This is our house. This is our home.
This is our home." And then he says,
"We see that your
ghosts follow you. They live with you."
Yeah, and they show that they're just surrounded by people, which I don't think they're literal ghosts in that sense, but
no, because they're not scary anymore in this scene. They just look like people, but we know they're ghosts, and it's just like, it's part of it. Like that guilt's always gonna be there.
Yeah,
but you have to like face it and work through it.
Right. It's like it's a parable. It's just like it's really simple, meaningful story that they chose exactly the right people to use. Refugees in this strange world who had to do anything to survive. It's 90 minutes, and it's just about that one thing. It doesn't it's hyper focused, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very much so. There are very few characters in it.
Yeah, and it works so well. That's why I'm like, I really like this movie.
Yeah, it was really well done.
It might be one of my favorite horror movies of the year. It's just because, again, the horror imagery, like, it got me.
Mm-hmm.
The part where she looks up, or he looks up, and through it's her. She looks up through the holes in the walls, and there's just all these motherfuckers staring at her.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, oh, God damn it. Like, there's a lot of that where it was just like these little bits of images where I was just like, that got me. That one got me. Some of it it didn't all do that, but like, and I think it comes from originality more than anything else, is that there's shots in here, like we mentioned the fog, where it's like, yeah, it comes from something. But like, for example, that shot with them all looking through the holes in the wall, I never really seen anything like that. Can you think of a comparison in horror?
There's some like Black Christmas. There's a couple of shots like that, but like
through the door, yeah.
But yeah,
no. Again, there's variations. I think of Candyman. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of that aesthetic and the holes in the wall and going through, but like it's that specific shot in so many faces. It's just like there's something almost spider-like about it, because they're like infesting the walls in this weird way throughout the movie.
Yeah, well, he at one point says the house has vermin and rats, and it's vermin, like not entirely incorrect. It's infested with ghosts.
Yeah, it's got a ghost problem. You got to get
a whole lot of ghosts in there.
Get Venkman in there. Mm-hmm. He'll spray it down. He'll slime it. There's just it's not like the most original thing I've ever seen. It's just like, for ghost stuff, for the imagery, it just really it really scratched that itch.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, it's not like something like It Follows, where it's like we're inventing a whole new villain, which is cool too. I mean, that's a big deal. It's just like we're gonna do a very quaint, simple ghost story where it's like, yeah, they're ghosts. They're dead people. They come out at night. They're creepy. And they just nail it. They just knock it out of the park. Again, I think so.
Mm-hmm. I agree. It's really, really good.
Yeah. And this director, by the way, first feature length.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. This is part of why I'm excited about it, because I'm like, fuck, this is a whole career.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for the next movies that this person's going to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure what else to say other than that this movie is awesome.
Check it. I mean,
you should watch it. It's on Netflix. You don't have to pay anything extra.
Yeah. All right. Is there a better... Did you like a horror movie better this year than this movie? I guess is my question. I mean, I'm also asking that to myself, for the record.
I mean, Color Out of Space really, really hit me where I needed to be hit.
Oh, you're right. They're such different movies.
They're very, very different.
Like, I know it technically is one. Color Out of Space is like, it doesn't feel like a horror movie. It feels like it's a whole new genre just called awesome. It's like the awesome genre.
Yeah.
What else was this year? Relic was pretty good.
Relic was decent.
Yeah, it's about old people.
Old people.
The Turning. Everybody loves The Turning.
The Turning.
Sputnik was not a horror movie. Invisible Man, was that this year?
Yes, yeah.
All right. Well, Invisible Man and this, I would put right neck and neck, and fucking the thing you just said, Color Out of Space.
Color Out of Space, yeah.
And I hope Possessor will join in.
I mean, why wouldn't it? I assume it would.
Yeah. When did this come out, by the way? Because it feels like...
this movie came out like a week or two ago.
Yeah, October 30th. Felt like we had a bad Halloween for horror movies.
I don't remember what else came out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so maybe I'm also like, I'm just starved for horror. But this is really, I don't know. It's nothing we can say about it. Can explain it. You just have to watch the movie. You know. Oh, Bly Manor was good.
Yeah,
it's not a movie, but
not a movie, and it's barely horror. I'd call it more like of a gothic drama. But yeah,
yeah, you're right. The Lodge, but I kind of forgot that one.
We've talked about The Lodge.
Yeah, I think this might be okay. I'm gonna say I think this might be the scariest movie of this year for me.
Maybe I'd have to sit and think on that one.
Yeah.
I was never really scared during this movie. I just thought it was awesome.
I'm never scared in horror movies, but like I said, the reaction is like, ugh, like it's that where it's like some imagery will be like, oh, I'm going to remember that.
Yeah,
I'm going to remember that.
That's going to stick in my mind. Yeah.
Yeah, which Color of Space has too. When the moment mother son,
the mother
spider like skitters over, I was just like, oh, that's going in the old memory bank.
Yeah,
that's right up there.
Fucking mother boy.
Yeah, never leaving. At him. Remember, you should have left.
Yes,
that was a shame.
That was a real shame.
Yeah. I don't think it's been. I guess my point is, I don't think it's been a great horror year. It's had some really good.
It's got
horror
some good
movies.
ones. I think it's as good as any other year.
Maybe, yeah. You're probably right.
We just have to sit and like there's just probably movies you just don't remember came out this year, and you're like, oh yeah, that one.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I don't
know. We're talking about other movies now, so I think it's probably time to end the podcast.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about this in specifics too. I like ranks, you know, and this movie. When one of the things that dawned upon me while watching was like, I think this might be one of the best horror movies of the year, and I really, really hope it gets attention for that. And I hope this filmmaker goes on. Also, the actress from Lovecraft Country,
yeah,
she just showed up for me.
I hadn't seen her before Lovecraft Country, and now it's like, oh shit, okay.
Yeah, I'm like, keep working, please. You're fantastic. It's just a lot of. I'm very excited about this movie in terms of like seeing.
Wunmi Mosaku is her name.
Let's say it again.
Wunmi Mosaku. I'm probably mispronouncing it.
Wunmi Mosaku. I need to learn. I'm bad at pronouncing, so I'm going to learn that one. Because I feel like we're going to be saying a lot more.
Yeah, I feel like we're going to be seeing her pop up in a lot of stuff from going forward.
She was in fucking Philomena? Are you kidding me?
Oh, I never saw Philomena.
As young nun? Let's talk about Philomena.
No, I think it's probably time to end the show. All
right. Folks, thanks for listening.
Thank you guys so much for listening. Yes.
If you're into horror, go watch this movie. Tell me if I'm overreacting. It's fine. What do we do? We plug our Patreon?
Yeah, tell them about that if you want.
It's patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. We have exclusive podcasts there, like Tom and Jeff Watch Batman, and Fox Mulder is a Maniac. Go check it out. There's a tier where you can watch movies with us every Friday night, such as, I forget what we watched.
We watched The Rocketeer.
The Rocketeer, yeah. And then The Condemned.
Yep.
And then
Death Race.
Yeah, so peaks and valleys.
Yeah.
So I feel like we didn't sell it with those three movies, but it's fun. We have fun.
We do. We sure do.
Yeah.
We also have a store at tpublic.com/store/gamefullyunemployed where you can get t-shirts, masks, stickers, posters, all kinds of shit. Check that out. Do that thing.
We should sell one of those fucked up ghost masks.
Yeah, let's make that mask, man. That mask is nuts.
But then, all right. But then you die, and can you use the mask after you die? You know what? Let's guarantee that you can.
We guarantee that you will be able to take the mask with you into the next world.
Into the afterlife, yeah. That's definitely it. Or you can haunt us. I am summoning you all to haunt us. If that isn't a guarantee, bring it on, ghosts.
Yeah, come at me, ghosts.
Yeah, fuck you, ghosts. I'm not afraid of you.
Yeah, you motherfuckers. You goddamn ghosts.
You fucking ghosts. Fuck ghosts. I'm gonna say it loud all the time when I'm alone in the dark.
That's what I usually do. I just I march into my house and I scream at all the ghosts that they better not try and scare me because I'm not scared of them.
Exactly. Well, if you're the crazy one, if you're like, I'm the ghost, and then they'll be like, I don't know if we can deal with this.
I should probably leave that guy alone.
Yeah, that's we already plugged everything, but that's my favorite thing I've always wanted to see in a movie is the ghosts that are like, I'm gonna scare you until you solve my murder, and someone's just so lazy that they're like, oh, I'll just not do that and live with this.
Yeah, I'll just live with this haunting. It's fine.
Yeah, and they like show up in the mirror and they're like, yeah, hi, I see you. I'm not going to solve your murder.
Yes,
sorry.
Still not solving your murder. Sorry, I got things to do. What do you want?
The fuck am I? Who am I? Nancy Drew? Like, come on.
Get out of here. Get out of here. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Stop it.
Go haunt a detective.
Knock it off. Knock it off.
Yeah.
Jackass.
Stupid ghosts.
God damn ghosts.